So the interim bail order was in a way rejected, and Arvind Kejriwal did not get any relief from the Delhi High Court. After, I must tell you that after interim stay was granted in Delhi High Court, Arvind Kejriwal's counsel had approached Supreme Court, and Supreme Court had put the matter for 26th of June, that is tomorrow. Supreme Court, although had said that High Court's order is unusual, it has found High Court's order to be unusual, but it has also made its intention. The Supreme Court has made its intention clear that it will wait for the order of the High Court, and then it will hear Arvind Kejriwal's plea. Now, because no relief has been granted in the High Court to Arvind Kejriwal, the matter stands in Supreme Court and it will be heard tomorrow. That is on 26th of June in Supreme Court, and let's see what Supreme Court has to say on this and has to decide on this. The entire matter is of excise policy case, Delhi government's excise policy case, during which there were accusations of irregularities posed on the government. Manish Sisodia was also arrested in this matter, and then there were a series of arrests from the government made by the Enforcement Directorate. There were accusations of irregularities in the liquor policy case, and Arvind Kejriwal was also summoned in this matter by Enforcement Directorate repeatedly, to which he did not respond at all, which resulted in arrest of Arvind Kejriwal in March, and in the election season he got out of the jail, he got the bail also, and then on the condition that he will surrender. He surrendered later and approached the lower court, the Rouse Avenue Court, where he approached the court and sought bail for himself. The regular bail was granted by the lower court, but the ED approached High Court, where ED approached High Court against the regular bail order. As I said, ED's point was that it was not given an opportunity to be heard, it was not given time so that it can produce its arguments properly in the court, and the trial court's order was lopsided, it was one-sided, it was misleading, and it was misrepresenting. That is what was given in written submissions to High Court by the Enforcement Directorate. And now, after this order, where Arvind Kejriwal has not got relief in the High Court, although Arvind Kejriwal's counsel in High Court had said...
Sir, please, sir.
That was my colleague Nivritti. In fact, he'll continue to bring us the latest from the ground. Meanwhile, I'm also joined by my colleague Ashok Bagaria in the studio. Ashok, this is a big setback for Arvind Kejriwal. The High Court, in fact, has here stayed Kejriwal's bail order. Do go on and decode this particular order for us.
Well, what this order really means is that Arvind Kejriwal will continue to be in TIHAR jail despite a bail order in his favor from the trial court. Now, what had really transpired was on June 20th, Arvind Kejriwal was granted regular bail by the trial court, and ED rushed to the Delhi High Court filing an application seeking to put his release on hold. And subsequently, they also filed a main petition challenging the merits of the judgment, bail judgment, which was delivered by the trial court. Now, on June 21st, what happened was, when the matter was called out before the Delhi High Court put on hold Arvind Kejriwal's release from jail and said that it will be passing a verdict in 3-4 days' time, which has happened today. And the Delhi High Court has said that the findings of the trial court in granting bail to Arvind Kejriwal are wrong. So primarily, the Delhi High Court has come to two conclusions. Number one, it has said that the trial court did not go through the documents that were produced by the ED before the court, and the observation of the trial court in its judgment that it was not necessary to go through the bulky documents at this point in time was incorrect, and it meant that the court had not adequately dealt with the documents and records that were produced before it, number one. Number two, the High Court has also come to a conclusion that Enforcement Directorate wasn't given adequate and fair opportunity of opposing the bail granted to Arvind Kejriwal, because the hearing lasted for 5 hours and only 2.5 hours were given to Enforcement Directorate to argue its case. So on these grounds, the Delhi High Court has come to a prima facie conclusion that the bail order granted by the trial court is wrong and it needs to be stayed. Arvind Kejriwal, despite having a bail judgment in his favor, will not walk out from Tihar jail. Now, tomorrow, what is going to happen is that this matter is again in the Supreme Court, where Arvind Kejriwal has challenged this hearing before the Delhi High Court, saying that this is an extraordinary hearing. There is no provision in law for such an interim stay on bail because, number one, he is not a terrorist and no prejudice would have been caused if Arvind Kejriwal would have been set free. So tomorrow it will be a very interesting hearing in the Supreme Court, where Arvind Kejriwal's lawyers will be arguing strongly, saying that, look, that the Delhi High Court has delivered an order, passed an order, made some comments with respects to the merits of the judgment, and such was uncalled for. And what is interesting, Neha, at this point in time is that on Monday, when the Supreme Court heard this Kejriwal's application, the judges who were hearing this matter, Supreme Court judges, said that this kind of a hearing being conducted by the High Court was highly
चलो 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 बाहर निकलना बोलो सर स्टार्ट इधर ही रहने राजू सर सर यहीं कर दीजिए सर थोड़ा कैमरा पीछे कर ले यार let's listen to what he's saying.
So what order has been passed by the High Court? So today, sir,
the High Court has appreciated our arguments and has stayed order of bail in favor of Mr. Kejriwal.
so what is the observation made by the High Court bench, sir? Your application.
There are several observations made. One regarding Section 45.
Section 45.
45 having not been considered properly. Another is that the papers which are submitted have not been perused by the court. That's it, please. क्या कर रहे हो आप?
ओके हो गया हटो भाई एनआई करने दो हटो
बार
हाँ आइए सर आइए
नहीं बार चलो आगे जाओ
High Court sir said the
आप थे ना
trial court did not appreciate the material placed on record by the ED.
yes you were present when the order was read. Hello बाहर आने दो चलो आप
It's a huge setback for Arvind Kejriwal from the High Court. The Delhi High Court has stayed the regular bail granted by trial court to Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal in the excise policy case. A single judge bench of Justice Sudhir Kumar Jain passed the order while hearing the ED's application seeking stay of trial court order which had granted bail to Arvind Kejriwal on the 20th of June in connection with the money laundering case linked to the now scrapped Delhi excise scam. Let's go back to my colleague Ashok, who continues to be with us in the studio. Ashok, do go on and share with us some of the observations that, in fact, in the court.
Well, there were two, or rather there were a couple of observations made by the Delhi High Court, which actually impinges on the merits of the case. So first thing, the Delhi High Court, this is again a vacation bench and it was presided over by single judge Sudhir Kumar Jain, who has come to a conclusion that there are reasons that the trial court order granting bail and directing the release of Arvind Kejriwal from Tihar jail needs to be stayed. In his order, he pointed out that there were 3-4 major flaws with the bail order. The first flaw was with respect to non-consideration of the documents placed before the court by the Enforcement Directorate. The second flaw was the court did not give adequate and fair opportunity to the Enforcement Directorate to argue its case or oppose the bail to Arvind Kejriwal, because Section 45 of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act says that as far as bail of an accused is concerned, it can only be considered by the trial court if the public prosecutor is given an adequate opportunity to oppose it. The third thing that the court has said was that there have been various orders of the higher courts which have gone into the merits of the case, and that precedence had not been followed by the trial court in setting Arvind Kejriwal free. The court has also dismissed the argument of Mr. Singhvi, who appears for Arvind Kejriwal, saying that this is more a question of personal liberty than anything else. The court on this point said that this is a matter which should be adjudicated by the regular bench of the High Court, which will look into the merits of the case. So these are some of the arguments which were made by the High Court upholding its stay on Arvind Kejriwal's release from jail.
Right, thank you. In fact, Ashok, for sharing these insights with us. Continue to stay with us. These were some of the observations made by the Delhi High Court. We slip it a quick break now, but we continue tracking this particular development for all our viewers. Don't go anywhere.
Why is the state not looking at putting an embargo on that?
As a Telangana person, I will not accept.
How do ordinary folks deal with this?
The confidence is certainly back in the market.
Do tighten your seat belt so that you can withstand volatility.
I have one humble request to all the viewers of News 9 is that please don't go, there will be a lot of choppiness, there will be a lot of volatility. Look at long term, don't look at short term. Buy quality, don't buy quantity, and wish you all the very best.
हमारा टाइम आ गया है और रहेगा.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
How do you fulfill that promise? Because ultimately expectations have to be met. If you look at the political landscape, is it really changing for women? And what is the inability of the forces that dead bodies surface but not the living people?
For the very first time in our investigation, we unmasked the killer of Ravindra Matre.
In 5G, we have to stand with the world, and in 6G, we have to lead the world.
Winning a Grammy was an absolutely surreal experience.
There are beautiful golf courses, there are well-played golf courses, there are great greens. But I think we are a combination of everything.
Now, because of the nature-friendly atmosphere here, plenty of water, you can hear the birds. So lots and lots of birds live on this golf course.
Every corner you have a different vista. You have the beautiful Sahyadri range behind you, and it's just endless. It keeps going on and on and on and on. So I think no matter what floor you are, you're always slapped in the face by this most amazing view that takes your breath away for a second.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
20,000 people dead and counting. What's happening in the United States of America is unprecedented. You will have to pay for this.
जानना है तो देखिए, समझना है तो सुनिए, सीखना है तो पूछिए, और कमाना है तो खरीदिए। जानकारी, सलाह और निवेश सब एक ही सुपर ऐप पर। पैसे का सवाल है तो जवाब है मनी 9। आजादी पैसे की, अभी डाउनलोड करें।
A very warm welcome. You're watching News 9 Live. In a setback to Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, the Delhi High Court on Tuesday upheld its interim stay on a lower court that had granted the Delhi Chief Minister regular bail in the alleged liquor policy case. This means Arvind Kejriwal will remain in jail. Justice Sudhir Kumar Jain's bench stayed the bail order granted to Kejriwal by the trial court on the 20th of June. The bench had reserved its decision on the 21st of June after the Enforcement Directorate had challenged the trial court's ruling. The High Court was approached last week by the Enforcement Directorate challenging the City Court's regular bail order, which it called perverse and flawed. In its order, the Delhi High Court said that, quote unquote, this court is of the view that the trial court has not applied its mind and has not considered the material. Now, in a blow to Arvind Kejriwal, the Delhi High Court has stayed its own interim stay on the lower court's ruling that Arvind Kejriwal should get a regular bail in the alleged Delhi excise policy case. Meanwhile, this is the latest that we're picking up. The Supreme Court is going to hear Kejriwal's bail plea tomorrow. In the meantime, the Delhi High Court has upheld its own interim stay on the lower court's proceedings. We're going to continuously be bringing you up to speed with all the reactions coming across from major stakeholders. We're also looking at our colleagues that are reporting to us from right outside the Delhi High Court. Nivriti Mohan joins us on the broadcast. Nivriti, over to you. Another major blow to Arvind Kejriwal. What's next? What are you picking up from right outside the court premises?
Yes, Kabir, in a way, the Delhi High Court has upheld what ED had said in its written submissions to the High Court, where it had said that the lower court, the Rouse Avenue Court, while it had ordered the regular bail to Arvind Kejriwal, did not give it a chance to produce its arguments, It did not give it enough time, and that the order was lopsided. It was one-sided because they were of the opinion, the ED was of the opinion that only the Arvind Kejriwal's side was heard and they were not heard. The Enforcement Directorate was not heard, and in this case, because both sides were not heard, so the matter was one-sided, the order was one-sided, it was lopsided, and it was perverse. This is what ED had given in its written submissions to the High Court, and the same observation has been made by the High Court while it pronounced its order on the regular bail against on ED's plea against the regular bail order by the Rouse Avenue Court in Delhi High Court today. So Arvind Kejriwal has not got any relief. He will stay in jail, and if we go a little back into the history, you will remember, Kabir, that there were so many summons sent to Arvind Kejriwal, and after he did not respond to around 10 or more summons, he was then arrested by the Enforcement Directorate. He was out on bail during the election season on the condition that he would surrender. He surrendered later, although he had applied for bail again, which was not considered, and he had to surrender. And then after which he had approached the Rouse Avenue Court, the lower court, the trial court for regular bail, and he was granted regular bail in the Rouse Avenue Court, after which Enforcement Directorate approached Delhi High Court against that order which granted regular bail to Arvind Kejriwal. ED in its submission said that it was not given time to be heard, it was not heard properly, and the lower court has not applied its due mind in the case, and the order was lopsided. All these
you know what?
arguments
Continue
were
to be
made.
with us. We're going to keep coming back to you as in when you have latest coming out of the Delhi High Court for a better legal understanding and a finer print as to what's happened, what's next for Arvind Kejriwal. I'm joined by our legal editor Ashok Bagria here in the studio. Ashok, a couple of things to be looked at. Has not applied its mind. It's flawed. It's perverse. The Delhi High Court has upheld its own interim stay. Tomorrow the Supreme Court is going to be looking at this bail plea as well. Arvind Kejriwal, he knows how to make headlines for sure, but in legal terms, what's next? What does the road at this time look like for Arvind Kejriwal?
Well, it looks like Arvind Kejriwal is going to be behind bars for a little more time, because now the matter will be heard by a regular bench of the Delhi High Court, which will decide the Enforcement Directorate's challenge to his bail on the merits. Now this matter could go on or drag on for at least 4 weeks, and during that time he'll have to be behind bars, despite the fact that he has a bail order in his favor. However, what is even interesting is that tomorrow there is a hearing in the Supreme Court where Arvind Kejriwal has challenged taking cognizance of this matter by the Delhi High Court and putting on hold his release from the TIHAR jail on June 21st. And in fact, on Monday, while the Supreme Court was hearing this matter, it said that what this High Court had done was very unusual. So tomorrow's hearing in the Supreme Court could be interesting. What could be the best case scenario for Arvind Kejriwal tomorrow is that the Supreme Court intervenes, sets aside this Delhi High Court order, calls it wrong, and says that the matter should be heard on its merit by a regular bench of the Delhi High Court, and in the meantime Arvind Kejriwal can be released on bail. And in case the Delhi High Court comes to a conclusion that the trial court's order releasing him on bail was wrong, he can be taken back into custody again.
So the waiting game a little bit more for Arvind Kejriwal at this point in time. The affidavit that he had put forth, I call it the pressure tactic halafnama. Is that going to bear any dividend and fruit?
Well, in fact, the fresh affidavit you're talking about was filed only today morning, and that is basically in response to his petition that he had filed on Monday, and the Supreme Court had given both Kejriwal and Enforcement Directorate to put forth their views and file final affidavits before the matter is taken up on Wednesday. So today, what Arvind Kejriwal has done, he's filed an affidavit and he's saying that this Enforcement Directorate's claim that the hearing was conducted in hot haste is totally wrong. Bail is a matter of discretion of the court, and if the court is prima facie satisfied that a person can be released on bail, no other court can interfere with it unless that order granting bail is set aside. This interim measure of putting on hold somebody's release is not there in the law. So these are the things he's saying.
He continues to target the Enforcement Directorate.
Yeah, he continues to, he's basically assailing the Enforcement Directorate, saying that they are taking a wrong stand for the mere fact that he is opposed to the government in power at the center, but that cannot be a reason to cook up a cock and bull story against him. and deny him the due process of law. Now, this is what Arvind has said in his fresh filing to the Supreme Court of India, and tomorrow's hearing in the Supreme Court will be usually filled with that fireworks, and it will be very interesting to see as to what the Supreme Court does tomorrow.
All right, all eyes on the Supreme Court hearing on Arvind Kejriwal's bail plea in this Delhi excise case. Well, we'll have to wait and find out as to what happens. Advocate General S.V. Raju, his reaction, let's quickly play that out.
The High Court has appreciated our arguments and has stayed order of bail in favor of Mr. Kejriwal. There are several observations made, one regarding section 45 having not been considered properly, and other is that the papers which are submitted have not been perused by the court.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, next up we're going to shift our focus to another gruesome case that, well, irked the entire nation. There was national ire because of this case. Now, the Bombay High Court, and this is the latest that we're picking up vis-a-vis the Pune Porsche case. The Bombay High Court has granted bail to the juvenile accused in the Pune car accident case. Ashok Bagaria continues to be with us on the broadcast here. The victims, relatives, Ashok, have been constantly saying, look at the kids' actions, not his age. There are special, cases where juveniles have been tried as